Our Earth is a vibrant planet. It journeys through the vastness of space. From afar, it shines like a blue marble. This color comes from its great oceans. Water covers most of our world's surface, yet Earth is not just water. There are immense land masses. We call them continents and islands. These lands are home to countless species. They are where human civilization first took root. Mountains rise, deserts stretch, and forests grow deep upon this land. The existence of both land and water is crucial. It creates diverse environments. Each environment supports different forms of life. This variety is a hallmark of our planet. Everything is interconnected. How could our planet become a water world? Several scenarios exist. The most discussed is the melting of all ice. Earth's poles and glaciers store enormous quantities of frozen water. If global temperatures rise significantly, this ice would melt. This meltwater would flow into the oceans. Sea levels would rise dramatically. This is not science fiction. We see evidence of rising sea levels today. Another, more catastrophic event could be an asteroid, a very large space rock impacting an ocean. The impact could vaporize vast amounts of water. It could also create colossal tsunamis. These waves could sweep over continents. The familiar maps of our world would be redrawn. If Earth became a water world, human life would change forever. Our current homes are mostly on land. Cities, towns, and villages are built on solid ground. A global flood would displace billions of people. Coastal cities, where much of the world's population lives, would be the first to go. Imagine New York, Tokyo, or London underwater. This would create a refugee crisis on an unprecedented scale. People would search for any remaining dry land. Housing would need a complete rethink. Traditional houses would be useless. Humans would need to live on the water. Perhaps we would build floating homes or giant platforms like artificial islands. The dream of living on water is not entirely new. People have built stilt villages for centuries. Venice in Italy is a city built on water. But a true water world demands something grander. We would need to engineer entire floating cities. These cities would be marvels of technology. They would have to be self-sufficient. They would be arcs for humanity. These structures would need to resist the relentless power of the ocean. The materials used to build these cities would be critical. They must be buoyant and strong. They must resist saltwater corrosion. Perhaps new composites or bio-inspired materials would be developed. With all land submerged, agriculture as we know it would end. No more fields of wheat, corn or rice, no more pastures for cattle or sheep. This would mean a radical shift in our diet. Humanity would have to turn to the ocean for sustenance. The sea is rich in life, but harvesting it sustainably would be a major challenge. We already struggle with overfishing in our current world. Fish would become a primary source of protein. Aquaculture or fish farming would become incredibly important. We would cultivate various species of fish, shellfish, and crustaceans. Seaweed farming could also boom. Seaweeds are nutritious and grow quickly. A global ocean would mean a profound crisis for land-based wildlife. Most terrestrial animals and plants would face extinction. Habitats would disappear beneath the waves. Forests, grasslands, and deserts would be gone. Only animals that could adapt to a marine or semi-aquatic existence might survive. Perhaps some birds could live on floating debris or the new human settlements. Insects, vital pollinators, would suffer immense losses. Freshwater species would also perish as their habitats became saline. Marine life, however, might experience an expansion. With the entire planet as their domain, some species could flourish. New ecological niches would open up. Existing marine creatures like whales, dolphins, and sharks would roam vast, uninterrupted oceans. Fish populations, if managed wisely, could grow. Covering Earth entirely in water would dramatically alter its climate. Imagine a world where the vast expanse of the ocean stretches endlessly, with no land to break the horizon. This transformation would not only change the way we perceive our planet, but also have profound effects on its climate systems. Without large land masses, temperature variations across the planet might become less extreme. The absence of continents would mean fewer barriers to the movement of air and water, leading to a more uniform distribution of heat. Oceans absorb and release heat slowly. This characteristic of water helps in moderating temperatures, preventing sudden spikes or drops. The vast ocean would act as a giant thermal reservoir, storing heat during the day and releasing it at night. This could lead to more stable global temperatures. The consistent temperature would create a more predictable climate, reducing the frequency of extreme weather events like heat waves and cold snaps. However, the absence of land would also change atmospheric circulation patterns. The way air moves around the planet would be fundamentally different, affecting everything from wind patterns to precipitation. Jet streams and ocean currents, the planet's great heat distributors, would behave differently. These powerful flows of air and water, which currently help regulate our climate, would need to adapt to the new water-dominated world. Weather patterns would be dominated by oceanic influences. Expect colossal storm systems. The energy from the warm ocean surface would fuel massive storms, making them more frequent and intense. Hurricanes or hypercanes could become much larger and more powerful. These supercharged storms would draw immense energy from the warm waters, potentially causing unprecedented destruction. They would draw energy from the warm ocean surface. The continuous supply of heat and moisture would make these storms relentless, with the potential to last longer and cover larger areas. Rainfall would likely increase globally as more water evaporates from the ocean. The increased evaporation would lead to more moisture in the atmosphere, resulting in heavier and more frequent rainfall. Cloud cover might be more extensive. The constant evaporation and condensation cycle would create a thick blanket of clouds, often obscuring the sun and casting a grey hue over the ocean. The sky might often be a canvas of grey clouds and dramatic storms. The interplay between the ocean and atmosphere would create a dynamic and ever-changing sky filled with the spectacle of nature's raw power. Humanity's survival in a water world would depend on innovation. As sea levels rise and land becomes scarce, we must turn to the oceans for new opportunities. This shift will require us to rethink how we live, work, and interact with our environment. We would need new technologies to live, work, and explore. From advanced diving suits to underwater breathing apparatus, these innovations will be crucial for our adaptation. Advanced diving equipment would become commonplace. These suits would not only allow us to breathe underwater, but also protect us from the ocean's pressure and temperature extremes. Personal submarines, agile and efficient, could be like the cars of today. These vehicles would enable us to travel long distances underwater, making daily commutes and long journeys feasible. They would allow us to explore and utilize the undersea realm. Imagine navigating through coral reefs or exploring underwater caves with ease, opening up new frontiers for discovery and resource extraction. We might build permanent underwater habitats. These structures would be designed to withstand the ocean's harsh conditions while providing a safe and comfortable living environment. These could be research stations, resource extraction facilities, or even homes. Imagine living in a house with windows that offer a view of the vibrant marine life outside. Energy generation would drive much of this innovation. Harnessing renewable energy sources will be essential to power our underwater cities and vehicles. Beyond floating solar and wind farms, we might tap into the ocean's thermal energy. This involves using the natural temperature differences in the ocean to generate power. Ocean thermal energy conversion uses the temperature difference between warm surface water and cold deep water. This technology could provide a constant and reliable energy source. Geothermal vents on the ocean floor could provide heat and power. These natural features could be harnessed to support our underwater infrastructure. New battery technologies or energy storage solutions would be vital for mobile communities and vehicles. Efficient energy storage will ensure that we have power when and where we need it. The quest for sustainable energy would be relentless. Researchers and engineers will continuously seek new ways to harness and store energy from the ocean. Communication and navigation systems would adapt. Advanced technologies will be developed to ensure that we can stay connected and navigate the vast underwater world safely and efficiently. A future Earth as a water world is a stark vision. Imagine a planet where the vast majority of the land has been swallowed by the ocean, leaving only a few scattered islands and floating structures. This is not just a change in scenery, but a profound transformation of our home planet. It represents a profound transformation of our home planet. The coastlines we once knew would be redefined, with the sea encroaching further inland. claiming cities and landscapes that were once bustling with life. Humanity, if it survived, would be a maritime species. Our lives would revolve around the water, with futuristic boats and ships becoming our primary means of transportation and livelihood. Our connection to the land, so fundamental to our history, would be severed. The ruins of our past civilizations would lie submerged, silent witnesses to a bygone era. We would live by the rhythms of the tides and currents. Our homes would be floating platforms or houseboats, and our daily lives would be dictated by the ebb and flow of the ocean. The ocean would be our provider, our highway, and our constant companion. We would rely on it for food, transportation, and even our sense of direction. It would also be our greatest challenge. The ocean's moods are unpredictable, and we would have to constantly adapt to its changing conditions, facing storms and rough seas that test our resilience. The psychological impact would be immense. Living in such close quarters, surrounded by water, could lead to feelings of isolation and confinement, even as we are part of a larger community. Imagine never feeling solid ground beneath your feet. The sensation of stability that we take for granted would be a rare luxury. The horizon would always be water. No mountains, no forests, just an endless expanse of blue stretching out in all directions. The sky above, the ocean below. Our world would be a delicate balance between these two vast elements, each influencing our lives in profound ways. This could foster a unique world view. Living so closely with the ocean might bring about a deeper appreciation for nature and a stronger sense of community. Perhaps a greater sense of unity, as all of humanity would share the same fluid environment. We would be bound together by our reliance on the sea and our shared experiences. Or it could lead to new forms of isolation. Despite being surrounded by others, the vastness of the ocean could make us feel more alone than ever before.